monthly one-shot, number 18 here on the monthly Dive Into the Longbox podcast. Here with Ajax as usual. If you guys didn't listen to the last issue, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about Comic Cons. We talked about Absolute DC. We talked about Rob Liefeld splash pages. We talked about coupons. We talked about so many things, right, Ajax?
We talk about too many fucking Rob Liefeld splash pages.
Go check that out if you haven't already. We made some cool teams and some cool books we'd like to see from the Absolute Universe. But today is a book that is genuinely, I would say, and I think Ajax would agree, genuinely special to us. It is by the legendary Michael Turner, the late, great Michael Turner. I don't care how many years it's been since he passed. He will always be the late, great Michael Turner. One of the greatest artists of, I think, our generation, or maybe all generations. I think he's up there as one of the greatest.
In my personal top 5 of favorite artists of all time.
Absolutely,
for me.
absolutely. This is a book that not only is special to comic book fans of Michael Turner, but this is a book that was actually special to himself. He was big into, like, swimming and, like, the ocean and, like, things like that, and this was his chance to write a book about surrounding that topic. And this was kind of like his passion project almost, that and like whatever he did with doing art with Witchblade, but what he did with Fathom, that was like his dream thing to do. It wasn't from his own words, it wasn't things like Batman and Superman and things like that. It was doing Fathom. He loved this series to the point where nowadays Fathom is still going, for people that don't know that, with Aspen Comics, and they still keep his name right front and center on the title. Still, the full name of Fathom is still Michael Turner's Fathom to this day. So I think it's cool to look through something that is someone's passion project. Ajax, before we jump into this, initial thoughts on quick initial thoughts on Fathom when you first opened it up here, because there's something I got to talk about on this opening page.
So before I even shove that out, so we were talking about like Michael Turner's love for like the ocean, for water in general.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that he won awards as a water skier? He was a very good water skier. Yeah,
dude, this man was a award-winning water skier. He slept with a ton of supermodels. He was like a high-paid comic artist. Like he was
a very good-looking guy.
He's
as
the
well.
coolest. He was the coolest dude like ever.
Yeah.
Even like
great artist.
In his interviews in Wizard magazine, he's just like a really chill guy too. Like he was really cool, like really personable.
Really cool.
So there's something that kind of blew my mind with this, Ajax. So what is your first page?
What is my first page?
Yeah, because you read this digitally, right?
I did read this digitally. Yeah.
What is your first page? Who's the person on the left side?
Give me 1 second so I open up my tablet.
No, you're good. Cause you'll see why I'm asking.
Okay.
Because this is a concept. This is another concept, a comic book concept, a gimmick that has not been done since.
So when you're saying first page,
yeah, just that first page where they're on the boat.
When they're on the boat.
Yeah, who's on that left side? Like the big image on the left, like the face. Is it like a dude?
Yeah, he's got like white hair and everything.
It's the
like
white
that.
hair and gray skin?
Yeah.
Look at mine.
Oh, that's weird.
And there's another one where there's this like blue water creature who is the face there. There's 3 different faces.
Okay.
And as I read through I read this physical, and then I went digital to compare it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I noticed that guy that you talked about on that book, and I noticed the dialogue is completely different for him. Because each of these books are different perspectives. So I have Aspen's perspective.
Right.
You have that dude's perspective. And there's a third edition of the book of that water person's perspective. How?
I never knew that.
I didn't either. I thought I had like a weird misprint because in his perspective, you have an extra page than I do. At the end. Or like towards the end, you have like an extra page that I didn't know about, where even Aspen says different stuff. And it confused the hell out of me because I'm like, am I missing what's happening here? And
Huh.
there's stuff in this where it'll cut to that, like their half of their face. I don't know what your guy says in yours.
Right.
It's a whole different like view. That is something that's
Yeah.
never been done before. Imagine if they did an X-Men book where one book it's from Scott's perspective and the other one's from Wolverine's, but it's the same book, but just certain pages are different. How weird is
Yeah.
that? I never knew that.
The tone would be so much different.
Yeah, so now I'm like, shit. I need to buy the other ones. That's the only time it warrants having more than one number one, because now it's like, no, I legitimately need to know their point of views.
But that's so strange. Does it state specifically, like on the book somewhere, like which perspective you're getting?
So
Because you could buy like 3 number one copies and get like the same
that's the thing. So
perspective, right?
that's
So,
what I figured. I looked at pictures online of every variant cover. Nothing says it. I don't know if it depends on like, oh, if you get the variant of her like this, you get her perspective, or
right.
if you get the variant of her covering her titties, maybe you get his perspective. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how to differentiate it, because I even went on YouTube. I was like, I got to look at people review this, because then I was confused. And they say it right there. They're like, yep, I have this version, and our buddy, and he put down his copy, was like the water blue lady. And I was like, what the fuck? Who's that? Like, that person's
Yeah.
not even in this book. Like, I don't even know who that is. Like, what the hell? Is that like the water's perspective? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. But now I'm curious, because like even in that one too, I noticed. Look at her on your book and look at mine. These are different poses, right? Like some of these poses are different, right? Like the one of her face, isn't it like a different angle?
Is it a different? Hold on, let me see. Actually, yeah, it is.
Yeah. So like these are like completely different pages.
Yeah, so like on mine, her face is turned to.
The side,
She's
right?
looking off to the side, yeah, to the
Yeah.
left.
So
On her left-hand side.
I will say the actual story, like the dialogue and all this, is the same. It's just
Right.
these here that change for everyone if you have a different copy. So
Okay.
like all the stuff that she's saying here, you don't have.
That is true.
Yeah. So this is like from her perspective of like what she's like coming off the boat. So the book
Okay.
starts. It's San Diego, the home of Comic-Con. July 16th, 1984. We are shown a boat docking here, and we learn that this is actually a boat that she tells us in mind that she doesn't realize as a kid that this boat's been missing for like 10 years. She just thinks that she says she doesn't remember being born, as everyone does. She goes, but everyone remembers when they started existing. And I was like, that's deep. And she says she remembers existing getting off of this boat, which is that first page. That's what she starts remembering. Like her memories come in. And we see this military guy talking, and he's like, can we confirm like this is the boat? And they're like, yep, this is the same boat from 10 years ago that somehow just reappeared here. It's here without a trace of any reason why. And they kind of shut down everyone in the area. They push everyone away. They cover the camera's face, and they basically say that there's something fishy going on here. No pun intended.
Something like that.
So they say that they've slaughtered the First Amendment by shutting down everyone from talking about this, because it's 1984. No one's recording any of this stuff. It's just word of mouth at that point. But I'm curious, what is he talking about on your first page then? Because she's talking about like what's going on, because she's like living it.
Right.
What is your dude talking about? Like I have no idea. So odd. Like I don't know what he would even talk about.
He's basically kind of doing the same thing where he's like, this cruise ship has been presumed missing for like the past 10 years.
Okay.
Quite possibly I was the only one there, or at least I thought I was the only one there.
Okay, so it's like a
that type
similar
of deal.
gist.
Yeah.
Similar. Okay. So now
But he mentions at the end that the military found one little girl. That little girl being Aspen.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So now we cut to 3 months ago, and we see the same. Presumably, if I'm correct, that is the same military guy, right? From 1984, just older. Is that him? I think it's supposed to be, because they did like the eye zoom in, and the eyes
I
zoom out.
believe so. So,
Yeah. So what they're seeing here, they're getting these readings as they're flying these planes like Top Gun. They're just fucking boom, shooting these planes, and they're talking with the captain, and they're saying that they're seeing something underwater, moving at 270 knots, which is very fast. They even say, "Holy shit, he just took off." And he says on the surface, like they're only able to hit like maybe 170, 180 on the surface, and they're going very fast. So that just shows
Yeah.
how fast whatever is underwater, how fast that's moving. And then out of nowhere, you just hear this pilot screaming. He's just like, "Jesus Christ, turn!" And then it just cuts out. And then he asks for the Secretary of Defense. And we cut now to present day San Diego. And we see our protagonist, Aspen. She is here. She is swimming in the water. In my book, she's talking about how when she grew up with her adopted father, who is the captain from the previous pages, Captain Matthews, all she's ever done is obsessed over water. She says, "Water is my life." She felt like a fish in water whenever she's in there. It's a part of her. And she says, "My friends tell me I'm obsessed with this stuff. Hence why I'm a marine biologist now." That's how obsessed with it it's my literal job, and I love it.
I guess I've just got water on the brain.
She says,
I get the
basically,
same dialogue from my book.
Oh, okay, you get the same. Okay.
Yeah.
She says, basically, if I'm not in it, on it, or under it, I'm looking at it through a microscope. So then we see this blonde lady. We never get told who this woman is.
No, we don't.
I don't know if she's like her like secretary or something, because she's like letting her know about plans she has and like getting the car ready. So I don't know if she like works for her or if she's like a friend, but they never say her name, so I have no clue who she is.
By the way, Gabe, get a look at that shot there of Aspen with the fucking Stacy Keebler legs.
Dude,
Jesus
her legs
Christ.
are ginormous, dude.
Yeah, I
Her and-
know. Like
who
they're
has longer
ginormous
legs?
and long.
Who has longer legs? Her or Fairchild?
Oh, her.
They
I
both
think
have,
it
like-
actually might be Aspen.
And it's funny, in one of the wizards, I gotta find it. I was flipping through it. One of the wizards, they asked Michael Turner what book he's reading, and he said Gen 13. That's his favorite book to read. Oh man, he's really just like us.
He really
just like
is.
he likes drawing hot woman. He likes real hot woman. He reads Gen
Exactly.
13. He's the greatest. He likes drawing comic books.
Yeah.
So now this is where my page is going to differ from you. So now we get a little interlude here from her perspective. And her perspective is when she's underwater, where she started off as a routine diver. And she said when she was at the end of her training session, she was only 16 years old, and she was going through all this stuff with the instructor, and she couldn't wait to get into the water. And when she's diving through the water, she felt like she was in pure magic, she says, her exact words. And then she says, "I saw them." And this is where we see that guy that's your focal point. She says, "The men and some women appeared out of the water, but they weren't there to hurt her. They weren't attacking her or anything like that." She said, if anything, they were inviting her in. They were giving her like this like orb and directing it towards her. And she says everything just went white. And she goes, "The next thing I remember, I was on the boat receiving mouth-to-mouth from the dive instructor with a circle of frightened faces around me." And she thinks that she maybe just hallucinated that because she was so deep in the water. Maybe she just had some hallucinations because she couldn't breathe too well through the tube she was breathing in. And that was kind of her write-off of what happened. What is his point of view of that?
His point of view is that he's on a mission to try to win her over, but it's kind of like kept ambiguous, where it's like
Very vague.
Okay, but like, how is he trying to win her over? Like, is he trying to win her over to like help her? Or is he trying to win her over to like get information from her? Like, how is he trying to win her over? It just kind of kept like ambiguous.
Gotta read issue 2.
Yeah.
So now we are back in present day, and this is after Aspen. You know, she gets in her car. She goes up to this vessel that she's being flown out to. By the way, she kind of like before she gets there, she kind of like plays it down, like, "Oh, is today the day I'm doing this thing?" And her little secretary's like, "How could you forget today's the day for that thing you're doing?" Like they're real vague about where she's going in the previous pages. So now we kind of figure it out. Like she's meeting up. She meets up with this doctor, who's Akiko Nigata is her name. She says she is helping to keep an eye on Aspen here as they're all kind of regrouping for this little mission they're going on. They're going to be on this mission, by the way, for about, I think they said 90 days. They're going to be at this location. But she says, I hope you don't have a nightlife. Because when you see where they go, there's nowhere to go underwater.
I hope you don't have a nightlife, and I hope you're not controlling it with an Xbox 360 controller.
Dude,
I hope that submarine is all good.
when I saw this, that's the first thing I thought of. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, this thing is gonna just fucking implode. Do you think maybe they were reading Fathom? Got the idea?
That's how he got the idea. He was like, okay.
We can do that with the Titanic, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So as we are, they're about to take off. Akiko says, "Oh, great! Here comes everyone's favorite programmer," very sarcastically, and we see Aspen go, "Oh God!" And it is just this ultra douchebag. I kind of hate this guy. I
it's
really hate
Jack.
this guy. It's Jack. More like jack off, am I right? And he says, he's like, "Aspen, baby, you know you missed me." Just an absolute douche. And there's a guy there with a beautiful mustache and little soul patch. Very 90s. And he says, "Hey, guys, we got to go. We got a tight schedule. You guys can get touchy-feely later. We got to go. We got a lot of places to go in just a very short amount of time. We got to go right now." So they jump in this little pod. And he says, quote, "This ain't SeaWorld, folks." This is the real thing. So we go into this pod.
The mustache and soul patch kind of reminds me of like Rick Capullo.
Yes, dude. Yes, he still has it.
Yeah.
Dude, him and Snyder were at the con I was just at. I just didn't have the time to meet them. Their line was too long.
Oh, I bet.
I would have got Cordovallo signed by both, but they weren't there.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they were there, but the lines were ridiculous. So this guy is talking with them going down, just giving them the rundown about the water, and he's like, "Hey guys, if you feel like your insides are scraping against each other, let me know. That means there's some sort of pressure happening inside your body that's no bueno. Let us know. Or even if you start feeling sick, make sure you go to the infirmary when you get there because it's not just a cold. Always get it checked out. You don't know what it'll be." And then this prick Jack is like, "Oh, you make it all sound like so much fun, Lawler." And then she's like, "Jack, can you just take something seriously for once?" Says Aspen.
You fucking prick.
And this is where we find out she's like, "Hey, when I came on this trip, I knew there'd be some weird adjustments. I didn't know one of them would have to be spending the next 90 days with my ex-boyfriend." And you're like, "Oh my God, he's just a douchey ex." So then he immediately says after that, "So now that we're reunited, I think we should try dating again." And she's like, "No, definitely not." And that's where we see this like underwater. This kind of looks like, if I have to compare this to something, for anyone that's a Star Wars fan, this looks like in Episode 1 where they go to like where Jar Jar Binks is from, those Gungan people underwater. This looks like that little city underwater. This looks identical to that. And we were told this is the Deep Marine Discovery where they will be spending their next 90 days doing some research. And to which Jack says, "Help! I'm trapped in a giant basketball factory," because everything looks like a giant basketball. And they're just like, and Lawler immediately goes, "Listen, Jack, just so you know, when you meet Director Jarvis, don't do that. Don't be a dick around him because you're gonna end up in the doghouse and you do not want to be there with him."
Yeah, but Gabe, you missed the part where Lawler said, "Word to the wise cracker Jack." What?
It's like when you get mad at someone, you go, "Listen here, buddy."
It's the same thing.
So now we meet Alexander Jarvis, who's the director of the DMD. He is the one in charge of this whole thing. You find out there's other people in charge, but he's like one of the main ones in charge of this. And he says, "Listen, you guys picked a busy day to get here. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I have a very short amount of time to show you guys everything. There's important matters we need to get to, and We're on a very tight schedule, so we should probably get going with that. And Jack is just still being an absolute dick. So he says, so if I've got this straight, the DMD is like the Love Boat, and you're Captain Stubing, right? And he says, this is more like Fantasy Island. So Jack just keeps going, just being a dickhead. And then he says, like, listen, that's your freebie of being a douche. Maybe you should probably cut that out now. Like, you've been here for 5 minutes, and I already hate you. And then Jack is even taking jabs at Aspen, too. Because he's talking about, like, how they're going to get their IDs. And he goes, what does Aspen say? Danger, frozen solid, do not touch. She tells him to piss off. And he kind of gets scolded like a child. And, you know, the director Jarvis is like, listen, that's enough, Mr. Gregory. Like, cut it out. And then we see this giant structure. And he's like, this is what you guys are here for. And she's like, what is this? Like, where did this come from? And they're like, well, it was here. And we kind of just built around it. We know it's a transport of some sort, but we can't get into it. We don't know what it's about. And she asked a million questions. After he asked her, do you have any questions? She asked a million. And he's like, well, we don't have the answers to any of those. Because we're still trying to figure it out as well. We have the same questions. And he says, but there is one question, though. He goes, I think it's... So the speech bubbles are weird here. I don't know who's asking these questions. I believe this is Jack asking this. Says, I got one. What's with the heavy military vibe around here? And that's when we find out that there's a bunch of, like, military guards surrounding this. And you find out that half of this place is filled with Japanese researchers, while the other half are American researchers, because this was a joint project at first when this was discovered. But there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened in Berlin in 1962 or he says it was like Berlin in 1962, where something happened. They were accusing each other of some stuff, some false information being spread, and, you know, some beef arose between the two parties, between America and Japan. And we see someone named Cannon Hawk, who is kind of like this mediator between Japan and the U.S. Since neither of them can pull out of this, they kind of just have to find a way to work together on this through this Cannon Hawk guy, who looks like your James Bond heartthrob. He's got the turtleneck going. You see that?
I do see that, yeah.
He's got the baggy suit, you know what I mean? It's a vibe. And then immediately Jack is like, oh, yeah, you should groom me for that job to take over for him, huh? He goes, oh, I can see it now. Mystery, intrigue, geishas. And immediately the director was like, yeah, I'll keep you in mind, Jack, for sure. So now there's a lot of time cuts here. So now we're jumping back to 24 hours before. And tell me that is not Tom Cruise from Top Gun right there.
It looks like it.
This is a Top Gun scene. This is 100% Tom Cruise from Top Gun. And you see some bros being bros, just some guys joking around with each other, talking about each other's wives for fun, you know, the usual guy things. It's just some fun banter. But then you see that this ship that they have can actually, like, plummet into the water, and we're shown that Lieutenant Matthews, that lieutenant that is in charge of raising Aspen growing up. So, if I'm correct, I keep getting confused about that, because, like, do we get his name?
Who?
The military guy in charge. Like, I don't know his name. They just call him Lieutenant. I don't know if that's the guy in charge of Aspen or not. Or if the guy in charge of Aspen is the one walking her off the boat. It's just kind of confusing.
I think her dad or stepdad is Matthews.
Is
Captain
Matthews. So is that the guy from the boat that walks her off?
I don't remember.
That's the thing about this book. There's not a lot of, like, names being said. So I just have to, like,
No.
I don't know who's who. Like, this guy, they call him Lieutenant, but Lieutenant what?
Yeah.
What is his name? Maybe I just missed it, but, like, even reading through it, I don't know. But either way, we see this ship in charge by the lieutenant from earlier. This plane plummets underwater, and they're like, dude, the way this thing is, like, moving underwater, they say it's like something out of a video game. And he says, we can't really tell who the hell it belongs to, but there's something coming from it that's getting brighter. And you see these, like, lasers shoot out of the sky. Like, they're in the sky forming, like, this orb. You're like, that's weird. It's like a pyramid-shaped thing. And the dude underwater, the Brad Pitt guy, or not Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, he's, like, jetting towards this thing, and they're like, dude, stop doing that. Stop. And they're like, he's like, no, I'm going to check this out. Like, I'm near it. And they're like, no, get out of there. Stop it. And then the thing shoots the laser in the sky and blows up the one plane in the air. Just completely destroys it. And they're like, holy fuck, what the hell is that? And the lieutenant's like, we need to disengage. We need to get back. And Tom Cruise is like, disengage? What are you talking about? He just killed my boy. I'm going after that thing right now. He's like, disengage right now. And he's like, negative. Nope, not happening. I'm committed. So now we're brought back to the current time, and we see Aspen in this, like, water suit, I think?
I guess if you want to call it that.
And she's, like, touching this ship, and she feels that it's jagged, but also, like, smooth, like shark skin, but, like, the stuff she's touching is kind of, like, mushy, like, pliable, like, she can somehow get into it, but she's upset because she can't talk to the other Japanese coworkers there about information because of everything going on. So she's like kind of upset about that. And she's kind of pondering about that. So we see her later on. She's getting out the shower. And they're talking about how 3 months ago we had a new development here at the DMD, one which ultimately led to our being your invited being down. And he stresses to her how secretive this is. And Ajax, guess who it is? On a Rob Liefeld spread here. Everyone was doing it.
It reads just as terribly on a fucking tablet.
Really?
Oh my god, probably even worse.
And this is where she says, she goes, oh my god, it's him from my vision. And you find out it's the same guy from the water.
Yep.
And that's where it clicks. She's like, oh shit, this might have actually happened. This guy might be real. Like he is real, but like, holy shit, that happened. And she even says he's beautiful and he's dead. What a waste. So she's like horny for this guy. And we found out that this guy was found with the military people, and he goes, our security forces reacted hastily. He goes, I'm afraid 5 of them were killed in the ensuing fight. And she's like, wait, you killed 5 of this guy's soldiers? And he goes, oh, sorry, I said that wrong. They killed 5 of our soldiers. She's like, oh, then wait, how do you have him in here? Why is he, like, not killed? And they're like, oh, yeah, they kind of just, like, he kind of just came with us. Like, his people kind of just left, and, like, he came with us. Oh, and, like, he's not dead. Like, he willingly came with us. He's just sleeping in there. She's like, what? What are you talking about? How the fuck? So now we kind of go back in time again, and we see that the ship that blew things up, Ajax, goddamn, it is the ship that they are dissecting on the giant rig they're on. This is what she was touching on there. This is the ship that blew up this dude in the sky. And we see this Tom Cruise character chasing after it, going as fast as he can, and they're still telling him to, like, dude, stop. Come back. Disengage. I will court-martial your ass, he says. Like, you need to come back now. And he says, let it go. Like, no, I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to kill this guy. He goes, I got the son of a bitch. And he shoots off a rocket. And when the rocket goes off, the ship just disappears. It just disappears. And you're like, what? He's like, yeah, I got them. And they're like, no, you didn't. They go, we're actually seeing a negative impact. That's how much you didn't hit it. And he goes, wait, he goes, shit. And then we cut back inside the warehouse. And she's talking about how, like, powerful this guy looks, how, like, magnetic he looks. And she goes, well, how did you get him in here? And they go, yeah, he came willingly. He's breathing under there. Like, that's how he can naturally breathe. And she goes, so you're saying, like, he's not human? And he's like, yeah, like, that's what we're leaning towards. And he goes, and then an alarm goes off. And he goes, but that's the collision alarm. Like, I've heard this from trials we had, but oh my god, he goes, I don't fucking believe it, it's a torpedo. And you find out that torpedo was from that ship. So that means there's 2 of those ships, Ajax. There's another one out there. There was another one out there, this torpedo that Tom Cruise shot off is coming towards Aspen and is going to blow her up. And then she goes, wait, it's a what coming towards us? And then I love this because it's like there was a deadly torpedo coming and all she says in her head is, but I just got here. And you know what's weird, Ajax? That's where my book fucking ends. Your book has another page, I think, through his point of view. If I'm correct. Where it's
Through
like
his point of view?
I think through his like point of view in the tube.
Yes.
Like I don't know what the hell happens on his. You have like an extra page.
But it's just kind of like a deal.
Is it the
where,
same
like,
thing, just where from his point of view?
Yeah, it's like an inner monologue with himself.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it is kind of similar. I do like how it's like from his perspective of him looking at them through the water.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Does she say... Oh, she doesn't say that bomb line in yours, though. Does she not say that I just got here? Oh, she doesn't say it in your book.
She doesn't. No, she doesn't.
Mine just goes, oh, man, I just got here. And then it just ends. So that is so interesting to me how, like, these are... like, what's the perspective of the third thing, then?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like a water creature. Like, it's kind of weird looking. Because this is what happened. I saw my book, right? And then I was like, oh, well, I need to find out. I don't even know why I went to go look at it digitally, but I was like, I got to go check it out. So I went to check it out, and then I saw there's a one released by Aspen Comics of issue 1, and it's this water here. There's a collected edition that actually has all their perspectives at the same, like, around the same time. Like, in one collective book. So, like, this is your perspective, right?
That's my... Yeah.
This is another perspective. I don't know what the fuck this is.
Okay.
And then this one's mine.
Okay.
But look, it's like all their different... Like, this is like a collection of, like, all their different perspectives in one. You see that?
Right.
Like, the third... Look at this, the third person. Like, this person is the water.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Because, like, it's looking from outside the ship.
Yeah.
That is so weird. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Like, that is a concept that legitimately, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I'm not sure if I've seen it either, yeah.
I kind of want to see that again. Because it's so unique.
I want to say yes, but to be honest, it actually makes it much more confusing.
Yeah, I feel like it would only work well like in a trade paperback where you can have them back to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, dude. I can see why it wouldn't work, but it is a very interesting concept. I'd like to see someone try to tackle that. I think the hard part too is that you need the artist to draw like 4 extra pages.
Yeah.
And a letterer to do 4 extra pages. That also increases probably how much. I mean, it's different with this because it's creator owned. But if you're Marvel or DC, maybe someone from Image will do it. Hey, Tim Seeley, if you're listening, I know you like doing 90s gimmicks for your books. This is one to do. But Ajax, Fathom, number 1. What did you think about Fathom?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm kind of torn. I went in there wanting to love it so much, and the first half of the book, I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking boring.
There's a lot of building.
There's so much exposition, and it's like, fuck, I barely know anything about Aspen. At this point, like, I'm reading, and I'm like, I barely know anything about her.
Yeah.
And I barely know anything about the guy that they found as well.
We don't even know his name.
Yeah.
We don't know half the people's names in this book.
And to me, the only thing that was keeping me intrigued was Aspen and the guy, and it felt like we didn't get enough of either of them.
Enough of them.
And all the other characters in the book, I was just like, I don't fucking care about them.
This felt like a half issue. Like, you know how they do it to promote issue 1?
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. Even though there actually is an issue half, this felt like it should have been.
I was
issue
gonna
half.
say, Gabe, there's a number 0, and then there's a 0.5 of Fathom.
Jeez, all the gimmicks.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I'm flipping through the digital look of right now of issue 2, like this right here. There's a lot more going on in issue 2. That's why I'm like, issue 2 I feel like should have been number 1 because we get a lot of Aspen and him.
Okay.
We get the explosion of the torpedo.
Right.
We get some really cool looking fucking pages here, like the explosion underwater.
Right.
There's a lot more action happening in this. I always thought about Fathom too. Before I got into it, I was like, what is the action of Fathom? You know what I mean? Because I knew it was about like water stuff, but I was like, is it like an Aquaman type thing? You know what I mean? Like I don't like look at this page. It looks fucking crazy, bro. But yeah, I don't know. But you can tell this is like definitely where she like gets her powers and stuff. You know what I mean? Like she's turning in the water and stuff. So issue 2, I feel like they could have done issue 1 as a half. I will say
issue
though,
1 just wasn't a good sell to me. I don't know.
I will say it did make me want to find out what the fuck's happening in issue 2, only because so little was explained.
That's fair. Yeah, I will actually agree with that.
Yeah, like I want to know what happens going forward. Only because now I know nothing.
Yeah.
So, like even like the half issue looks like there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of like lore building in this like 0.5. I'm just like looking through quickly. And this issue 0 is it's more just like world building. So yeah, even that, it's a whole issue of her surfing with a bunch of world building. And this is where she gets a note of where she's going. Is that the chick or is that a different person?
I can't even.
This one with the blonde hair.
Yeah,
it looked like the one.
Tell.
Damn. Now I'm like, should we have read the half issue or issue 0? Because I feel like it explains. It feels so much. Look, I feel like we find out so much more about this guy. Oh, this is the fight with the soldiers in the half issue. Look, this is them rolling up on the place. This is them killing the dudes with water, and this is him going willingly. Them taking him and going willingly.
That
See?
does explain a lot.
So this is like everything that. So even if we read issue 0, issue 1 was just a recap.
Kind of, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like you don't even really need issue 1. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like you can get enough from issue 2. You know?
Issue 1 felt kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
I will say, it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks good.
Without a doubt, it looks phenomenal. This may be one of those slow build books. I'll definitely give it I'll definitely pick up more issues if I find them though, just to see if it's like one of those slow build books.
I think I'm gonna at least finish volume 1.
Yeah, I think so too. Me too.
And then debate like, do I want to read the rest of like the Michael Turner Fathom? Because I think he's on Fathom up until volume 3, and then he passes away.
Dude, even some of the like. Some of his art though, like here, it looks like this blanket's like wet when it's not. It's very wrinkly.
It is.
It's just very wrinkly, but yeah, like even the art just keeps getting better book to book. But I'll definitely check it out. I'm not gonna jump off of it. I definitely am intrigued to see where it goes. So we kind of have the bad guy. I'm guessing it's the military dude. She's a part of the good guys. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm stubborn enough and like Michael Turner enough that I'll keep reading it
to see. But
first issue I was not a big fan of.
No, it could have been a lot better. I expected a lot more from it.
Yeah.
Should people buy it to check it out? I'd say yeah, especially for the art. Definitely check it out. It's good to have an issue 1 of a lot of the Image books. And this is one. By the way, are these all just not the same woman's face? This is the ultimate. That's one of his biggest. I think the biggest thing I see about him is his faces.
And that's really not even just like a Michael Turner thing. That
It's
was
just
really like a '90s thing in general.
fucking. That's a Gabe thing too. When I draw, listen, you find one face that works, you stick with it. If it looks good, like this page right here looks like Fathom, Witchblade, and Lara Croft.
Well, you know what's funny, Gabe? Michael Turner drew Lara Croft
All three.
and Witchblade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He didn't do Tomb Raider. That was J. Scott Campbell,
Yeah.
who he was a fan of.
Yeah,
Who also drew a lot of women the same.
of course.
They actually had very similar styles when it came to their women, like the big eyes, the very thin eyebrows. They had they're very cool. Like, dude, look at the glasses. This not Lara Croft.
Actually, it might be because Laura does cross over into Fathom.
Yeah, because that is just Lara Croft. It is. Wait, is this Laura? This is Lara Croft. What the fuck?
Yeah, see?
Oh, I'm
See?
definitely sticking
Yeah.
through this. Wait, this might actually be Witchblade. It is Witchblade. Oh my god, I called it.
But
Oh.
so from what I know, like in the reprints,
Mm-hmm.
they actually take out Laura and Witchblade in the reprints.
Oh, because it's done by Aspen Comics.
So, yeah.
Oh, damn.
This is back when Fathom was still under Top Cow.
Yeah, I wonder. Those are in here too, if I'm correct. The reprints, like version 1. Yeah, so this is the one I found out. So this is the cover I own, but I don't have
Right.
the Aspen one. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is mine. And then I saw this, and I was like, what? And then I saw this, I was like, what? I was like, that's 2 pages I don't have. What are you talking about?
Dude.
I don't even think that issue made it to the print. Because that one was issue 14 with Laura. This one stops at 13. Oh, wait. Yeah, no. This one seemingly stops before they show up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it stops just before that issue's just not printed. See? It goes from 13 to nothing to the next series. So they were like, yeah, we're not even going to fuck with that. We're just not even going to print it. Damn. Well, that was Fathom #1, Ajax. I will say, next month, I think you're going to be excited.
Oh, yeah?
Next month, we're going to be looking at another book that has a certain style to it, a certain aura to it, because we are going to be reading Battle Chasers #1 for September.
Yes.
So that is a book that is very action-packed. That is a book that I still do not physically own. But my local shop does have the graphic novel of the entire first, the entire run, the first run of the books. Has it all collected.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
It's like an anthology. So I may be picking that up. I may or may not have asked Justine for that for our anniversary gift. We will see.
May or may not.
I also have asked her for Heckler, my missing issue of Heckler, and Trencher that I need. So let's see what she buys me. So, and in our issue 19, too, we are going to be talking about some of our favorite Jack Kirby creations, and just Jack Kirby in general. I would have done it for August, but not enough time for it, so we're going to, because his birthday, he would have been 107 this year, so we're going to talk about some Jack Kirby stuff next month, and also, we're going to talk about some comic strips, Ajax. We never talk about comic book strips. You know, the Sunday Funnies?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that I think maybe even would shock us of how much we may know. Things like Calvin and Hobbes, the Boondocks. There's a lot of things. Zits. There's a lot of comics that really transcended and are actually still running to this day for daily comic books. So we're going to be talking about some of those. Change it up a little bit. Talk about a former comic books. We talked about manga. Talked about comic movies. Let's talk about some comic strips. Show some love to people making comic book strips. So we'll be talking about that in issue 19 in September. We'll see you guys in the fall for Ajax and Gabe. Thanks for hanging with us.